All right, everyone, how you doing? Welcome. Hope everyone's doing good. I'm doing good. I got a lot of stuff going on. Happy Tuesday. We made it. Today is also the release day for Humankind. It's a game. Let me show you. I've been waiting and waiting for this analysis, man. How you doing? Welcome. How was your Tuesday? Came out today and I've been playing it a little bit today. I was late getting everything set up because I spent a bunch of time playing. So
hey, this is Leanna Hafer bringing you.
I'm looking forward to playing this weekend. I actually took my wrist stuff from work just to make sure my wrist is extra playing. This is Humankind. I'll go and throw this in here for you. Oh, Warzone. Cool. Yeah, so it's kind of it's in the genre of 4X games like Civilization. Build troops, combat, build up cities, have diplomacy and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I'm super excited. So that happened today. I have not played that. I haven't really played Civilization either. If it's a 4X game with, you know, diplomacy and militaries and territories and stuff like that, then probably. Well, let's take a look real quick. Looks like it could be similar. Yeah, although not quite on this detail though. It's yeah, similar. But not quite like this. All right, so that's happening, which is kind of cool. I'm excited about that. I got a game started. I'm doing pretty well on a game, which I wasn't expecting, but that's going well. I'm playing a kind of a tyrannical religious zealot or country of sorts. It's going okay. I start a map with 5 different cultures on it, and I've eliminated one like just before I started here. So that'll give me some breathing room and room to grow, get my research done, and stuff like that. So that's it's turning out pretty good. Really happy. I don't. It's basically just mouse and a little bit of keyboard just for moving the camera. That's pretty much it. Yeah, in the Discord, I just created a under the computer and console area a thing for it. Didn't I? I haven't, but I'll add one right now. And then I'll put some videos and stuff there for it in case you guys are interested in that. And the wife kind of convinced me to start putting out some videos on video games. So I've got like 6 videos recorded for Warhammer 40k Battle Sector. I've got 2 of them processed, and I want to get through those 6 before I move on to start letting them out to the wild, because that'll be like I plan on putting like 4 a week, possibly, at least to start. So I'll be doing that, and then I'll probably do some Humankind as well. So that'll keep me busy. And as a part of that, I did get DaVinci Resolve, which is a video editing software, working on the new computer. I didn't have it working before, but now I've got it working, so this is nice. I spent, I don't know, like 2 hours yesterday working on just trying to get that working, and I finally got it working. So that's a relief. that is a relief. What else is going on here? So yeah, Wednesday, Thursday, there probably won't be a stream on Thursday. Huh? Right. And the wife is going to Milwaukee, and she's going to become a citizen, so she's going to be doing the citizenship thing. So yeah, that'll be on Thursday, so there won't be a stream on Thursday. I'll update the Twitch schedule for that, just so you guys know, and that'll also be on Discord as well. I'll let you guys know through that too. Yeah, so that's what's happening with me. How about you guys? Anything crazy going on with you guys? Before we get into some craziness with Afghanistan. Tony Blair fan, how is my day going? I figured it was. I'm good. How you doing? Humankind came out today, so I've been playing that a little bit. Got my video editing software working, so that's been good. And I just had enough time to get ready for stream. Barely enough time. Went to the dentist today. I studied Irish history. Okay, cool. Anything interesting in Irish history? I'm a bit Irish. Don't know anything about it beyond that's where I'm from. At least a lot of my family's from. Just about the War of Independence and how they beat the British. Okay, cool. Hallelujah, bunch of imperialist bastards, those British. Right? Conquered most of the globe. Good. Okay, so in case you guys aren't into the news or anything, Afghanistan, the United States has pulled its troops out of Afghanistan, and now all hell is breaking loose, and the Taliban is taking over. Now, I heard that Trump had arranged for this to happen, but I don't know for sure. And if anyone has an article on this, let me know. I think his people arranged for the U.S. withdrawal, and now just Biden is the one who's overseeing it. But it's the thing. Over 600 Afghans crammed into U.S. cargo plane in flight from Kabul. People leaving. Because they don't want to be under the influence of the Taliban, the right-wing religious people. Oh, let me go ahead and change the title before I get started. So I can't forget to do that. All right. Many of the Afghans climbed on board the cargo plane via a half-open ramp before the flight left for Qatar, with one of the highest numbers of passengers ever flown on such an aircraft. So they're going to Qatar. Okay. Yikes. More than 600 Afghan women, men, and children crouch and cram against each other on the floor of a United States military plane as it leaves Kabul after the city was seized by the Taliban. A photograph showing the Afghan civilians, some clutching luggage, others bottle-feeding infants, on the C-17 cargo craft on Sunday has gone viral on social media. A U.S. official told Reuters about 640 people clambered onto the flight from Kabul when thousands of people, desperate to flee the country, surged to the airport in the Afghan capital. The unusually high number of passengers was the result of a dynamic security environment that necessitated quick decision-making by the crew, which ultimately ensured that these passengers were quickly taken outside the country, the official said. And also, I think that the Biden administration arranged for there to be safety given time for people to leave through the airport. I think it's just stuff I've heard. I'm not exactly sure if that's true yet. According to the manufacturer, Boeing, the C-17 Globemaster III can carry 134 passengers, including 54 on side seats and 80 on pallets on the floor. Many of the Afghans climbed on board the plane via a half-open ramp before the flight left for Qatar, with one of the highest numbers of passengers ever flown on such an aircraft, U.S. Defense and Security News site Defense One reported. Reuters could not immediately verify those details. Other distressing videos and photos have emerged from Kabul airport, where witnesses say several people have died and show people clambering up overhead gangways and clinging to the landing gear of taxiing planes in desperate attempts to flee. Yeah, I've heard about that too, from other sources. From some observers, the image inside the C-17 plane was seen as a sign of hope and bravery of the evacuation crew. For all the failings of this week, some unalloyed good in this, said Blake Herzinger, a Singapore-based security analyst who shared the image on Twitter. I'm not gonna listen to his bullshit speech. The only news I really look at is Breaking Points with Crystal and Sagar. They were kind of gushing about the speech. I haven't really watched it. I've seen a little bit here and there. It's really just, it's just bad. But for others, it served as a reminder of the calamitous evacuation efforts from Afghanistan after the U.S. withdrew its forces after 20 years of war, and the Taliban swept to power in days rather than the months predicted by U.S. intelligence. We need many more such planes, said Kenneth Roth, executive director of non-governmental organization Human Rights Watch. And I also heard that the Taliban is actually taking power peacefully, and they've made a lot of arrangements with the local government and people saying, hey, we're doing this, we'd like to do this peacefully. And people are acquiescing, mostly probably out of fear more than anything, but ultimately the Taliban is choosing a peaceful takeover instead of a violent one, which is something. All right. All right, so this is an article from The Guardian. This is from 2010, but it talks about Afghanistan war logs, massive leak of secret files exposes truth of occupation. I wonder if this is from WikiLeaks. I'm not sure. I assume so, but let me go ahead and check here. Oh, okay, so that must be, I don't know why that's not there. Yeah, it's from WikiLeaks. Okay, there we go. All right. A huge cache of secret U.S. military files today provides a devastating portrait of the failing war in Afghanistan, revealing how coalition forces have killed hundreds of civilians in unreported incidents. Taliban attacks have soared, and NATO commanders fear neighboring Pakistan and Iran are fueling the insurgency. The disclosures come from more than 90,000 records of incidents and intelligence reports about the conflict obtained by the whistleblowers' website WikiLeaks, and one of the biggest leaks in U.S. military history. The files, which remain available to The Guardian, The New York Times, and the German weekly Der Spiegel, gave a blow-by-blow account of the fighting over the last 6 years, which has so far cost the lives of more than 320 British and more than 1,000 U.S. troops. Their publication comes amid mounting concern that Barack Obama's surge strategy is failing as coalition troops hunt for 2 U.S. naval personnel captured by the Taliban south of Kabul on Friday. The war logs also detail how a secret black unit of special forces hunts down Taliban leaders for kill or capture without trial, how the U.S. covered up evidence that the Taliban have acquired deadly surface-to-air missiles, how the coalition is increasingly using deadly Reaper drones to hunt and kill Taliban targets by remote control from a base in Nevada. Oh, wow. How the Taliban have caused growing carnage with a massive escalation of their roadside bombing campaign, which has killed more than 2,000 civilians to date. In a statement, the White House said the chaotic picture painted by the log was the result of under-resourcing under Obama's predecessor, saying it is important to note that the time period reflected in the documents is January 2004 to December 2009. So, the White House also criticized the publication of the files by WikiLeaks. We strongly condemn the disclosure of classified information by individuals and organizations, which puts the lives of the U.S. and partner service members at risk and threatens our national security. WikiLeaks made no effort to contact the U.S. government about these documents, which may contain information that endanger the lives of Americans, our partners, and local populations who cooperate with us. Now, I think WikiLeaks go through them and try and filter some of that stuff out, as well as will the news agencies, I hope. The logs detail, and sometimes harrowing vignettes, the toll on civilians exacted by coalition forces, events termed blue on white in military jargon. The logs reveal 144 such incidents. So the U.S. military killing civilians, white being civilians. Some of these casualties come from the controversial airstrikes that have led to Afghan government protests, but a large number of previously unknown incidents also appear to be the result of troops shooting unarmed drivers and motorcyclists out of a determination to protect themselves from suicide bombers. At least 195 civilians are admitted to have been killed and 174 wounded in total, but this is likely to be an underestimate, as many disputed incidents are omitted from the daily snapshots reported by troops on the ground and then collated, sometimes erratically, by military intelligence analysts. Bloody errors at civilians' expense, as recorded in the logs, include the day French troops strafed a bus full of children in 2008, wounding 8. The U.S. patrol similarly machine-gunned a bus, wounding or killing 15 of its passengers, and in 2007, Polish troops mortared a village, killing a wedding party, including a pregnant woman, in an apparent revenge attack. Yikes. Questionable shootings of civilians by UK troops also figure. The US compilers detail an unusual cluster of 4 British shootings in Kabul in the space of barely a month. In November 2007, culminating in the death of the son of an Afghan general. Of one shooting, they wrote, "Investigation controlled by the British. We're not able to get a complete story." Second cluster of similar shootings, all involving Royal Marine Commandos in Helmand province, took place in a 6-month period at the end of 2008, according to the log entries. Asked by The Guardian about these allegations, the Ministry of Defense said, "We have been unable to corroborate these claims in the short time available, and it would be inappropriate to speculate on specific cases without further verification of these alleged actions." Rachel Reed, who investigates civilian casualty incidents in Afghanistan for Human Rights Watch, said these files bring to light what's been a consistent trend by U.S. and NATO forces: the concealment of civilian casualties. Despite numerous tactical directives ordering transparent investigations when civilians are killed, there have been incidents I've investigated in recent months where this is still not happening. Accountability is just not something you do when you are caught. It should be a part of the way the US and NATO do business in Afghanistan every time they kill or harm civilians. The reports, many of which The Guardian is publishing in full online, present an unvarnished and often compelling account of the reality of modern war. Most of the material, though classified secret at the time, is no longer militarily sensitive. A small amount of information has been withheld from publication because it might endanger local informants, like I was saying, or give away genuine military secrets. WikiLeaks, whose founder, Julian Assange, journalist hero, obtained the material in circumstances he'll not discuss, said they would redact harmful material before posting the bulk of the data on its uncensorable servers. Yep, like I was saying. WikiLeaks published in April this year a previously suppressed classified video of U.S. Apache helicopters killing 2 Reuters cameramen on the streets of Baghdad, which gained international attention. Yeah, we watched this last year sometime. It's pretty insane how they were talking about it. 22-year-old intelligence analyst Bradley Manning was arrested in Iraq and charged with leaking the video. Yep, he's another one, right? but not with leaking the latest material. The Pentagon's Criminal Investigations Department continues to try to trace the leaks and recently unsuccessfully asked Assange, he says, to meet them outside the US to help them. Assange allowed The Guardian to examine the logs at our request. No fee was involved, and WikiLeaks was not involved in the preparation of The Guardian's articles. Did you see that the UK had the first mass shooting in 11 years? Oh, really? I had not. I'm sorry to hear that. Mass shooting's bad. That's interesting. I wonder what do you know what prompted that? Did the perpetrator leave any messages or anything? Usually inequalities can be a large predictor of how that sort of stuff happens. And of course, the United States has a crap load of them because we're highly unequal. Britain is better, but not as much as we definitely would like. Killed 6 people, including his mom and a 3-year-old girl. Oh my God, he had mental health issues and posted misogynist. Ah, okay, that sucks. That really sucks. Killed his mom and a 3-year-old. That's... These things happening is... It's so tragic. It shouldn't happen like this. It shouldn't happen at all. It's just... Stuff like this happening, every time it happens, it is an example that we have massively failed as a civilization. You know, this guy, he said mental health issues, he's a misogynist, right? And whatever else he's got going on. And a society, you know, creating an environment where people like this are allowed to get to this point it just shows how much we failed. And it's so ridiculous. Whoa, what did I do here? And it's so sad. It doesn't have to be this way. There are better ways. There we go. As we talk about on my stream, right? Got my resource-based economy, my blog posts, my policies, and a lot of this just shouldn't happen. This is from Chris Hedges, The Collective Suicide Machine and the Fall of Kabul. Return of the Taliban to power will be one more signpost of the end of the American empire, and nobody will be held accountable. Of course they won't, because the U.S. military is the largest terrorist organization in the world, and, you know, who's going to hold them accountable? Not the people, not the government, because the government is bought and paid for by the corporations who benefit from all of the murder. We used to have infrequent mass shootings, but then in 1996, a huge school shooting happened in Scotland, and Tony Blair just said, right, we have to ban almost all guns, and afterwards, gun violence. Oh, you guys banned guns? Well, that's interesting. I wonder if we could try that. So, were those laws lessened? I assume so. No gun culture though, so it's a bit different. I think Tories loosened. Oh, okay, yeah, you guys don't. We've got a lot of gun derangement syndrome here, unfortunately. Yeah, well, good for you, bad for us. And I don't see a way of getting. It's very difficult to get outside of gun culture. All right, hold on one moment. Gotta. All right, sorry about that. Nose was giving me problems. Definitely in the South and up in the mountains, America will have hard. Yeah. Well, it's a cultural, definitely a cultural thing, right? And it's culture, education, economic. There's lots of things that go into it, and it's it's a values thing. It's basically everything I talk about in my policies, right? Reducing inequality, healthcare, education, societal values. Need to fix all those things, which will make the desire of people. Some people will still have guns, definitely. Some people enjoy it as a thing, but undoing the absolute derangement we have here would be, it's almost on par with shifting to a resource-based economy. That's how colossal an undertaking that would be. Yeah, like you're saying, especially in the South and in some of the poorer parts, like the Appalachian Trail in that area. It's basically a third world country there. So yeah, the higher the level of inequality, the more gun derangement there is going to be. And those areas are hit the hardest, especially because they're predominantly conservative and run by conservatives. So therefore, all that stuff gets 10 times worse. I like this. All right. So Chris Hedges, he's an amazing journalist covering war. Talking about Afghanistan. When is this from? This is got to be recently, right? July, yeah. This is just, this is from, it's not from this month. It's from last month. Huh. Oh, when did the withdrawal happen? That must be right around when it started happening. All right, well, let's see what they have to say. The debacle in Afghanistan, which will unravel into chaos with lightning speed over the next few weeks and ensure the return of the Taliban to power, is one more signpost of the end of the American empire. The 2 decades of combat, the $1 trillion we spent, I thought it was more than that. That was $2 trillion. The 100,000 troops deployed to subdue Afghanistan, the high-tech gadgets, artificial intelligence, cyber warfare, Reaper drones armed with Hellfire missiles and GBU-30 bombs, and the Global Hawk drones with high-resolution cameras, Special Operations Command, composed of elite rangers, SEALs, and air commandos, black sites, torture, electronic surveillance, satellites, aircraft, mercenary armies, infusion of millions of dollars to buy off and bribe local elites and train an Afghan army of 350,000 that has never exhibited the will to fight, failed to defeat a guerrilla army of 60,000 that funded itself through opium production and extortion in one of the poorest countries on earth. Because someone is living in a studio flat in New York City and the president says, we will ban all guns, they won't have a problem with it, but someone living in rural Montana, up in the mountains with bears, sees practical reason. Oh, right. And I don't have any issue with practical reasons, and there's definitely some out there, but it's the reason why people want the guns that is fundamentally problematic. For many here in the United States, it's all about wanting to stand up against, saying they're going to keep the guns to fight against the government and stand up against tyranny and all that sort of stuff, right? I mean, because that's how our country is founded, right? The American Revolution against Britain, right? So revolution is an inherent part of our culture, at least from that standpoint, but also from the standpoint of, I suppose, if we look at the origins of our police and the slave patrol and militias, how they were formed to help suppress slave revolts and that sort of a thing. So there's that culture of wanting guns for protection of the state and that sort of a thing. It's also a cultural thing, that comes from our history, but that's going to be also very hard to get beyond. We need a brand new culture. We need brand new values. We need low levels of inequality and all sorts of things to help heal this brain damage, and it's never going to be easy. Never ever going to be easy, because it's all driven on fear. fear of the government, fear of this, fear of that. And a large way to reduce that is to reduce inequality, because the lower inequality is, the higher social trust is, the lower fear is, and then a lot of that can be dealt with. As I talk about here all the time, blah blah blah. Like any empire in terminal decay, no one will be held accountable for the debacle or for other debacles in Iraq, Syria, Libya, Somalia, Yemen, or anywhere else. Not the generals, not the politicians, not the CIA and intelligence agencies, not the diplomats, not the obsequious courtiers in the press who serve as cheerleaders for war, not the compliant academics and area specialists, not the defense industry. Empires at the end are collective suicide machines. The military becomes, in late empire, unmanageable, unaccountable, and endlessly self-perpetuating, no matter how many fiascos, blunders, and defeats it visits upon the carcass of the nation, or how much money it plunders, impoverishing the citizenry and leaving governing institutions and the physical infrastructure decayed. Yeah, and of course this is all because our government is bought and paid for by corporations. So people have no power. Corporations control everything, so that's all that matters. As long as they get their profit out of it, everything is going to be, well, fine for them. Bad for everyone else, American citizens and everyone else abroad as well. Because, like I say, the primary export is terrorism. The human tragedy: at least 801,000 people have been killed by direct war violence in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Yemen, and Pakistan, and 37 million have been displaced in and from Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan, Yemen, Somalia, the Philippines, Libya, and Syria, according to the Watson Institute at Brown University, is reduced to a neglected footnote. Right, and this is just devastating. And like I say in my policies, right, if the United States is messed with any country, we should automatically take in refugees from those countries. That should be the way it is. Because that is part of dealing with the ramifications of war. Much like Bernie Sanders says, if you're not going to take care of your soldiers after they come back, then you sure as hell shouldn't be sending them there in the first place. Not that you should be sending them there in the first place, but, taking care of the veterans and the healthcare and all that sort of stuff is part and parcel of the cost of going to war. And in this case, also, taking in refugees from the countries you destroy should also be part and parcel, part of that package of paying for war. Nearly all the roughly 70 empires during the last 4,000 years, including the Greek, Roman, Chinese, Ottoman, Habsburg, Imperial German, Imperial Japanese, British, French, Dutch, Portuguese, and Soviet empires, collapsed in the same orgy of military folly. The Roman Republic, at its height, only lasted 2 centuries. We are set to disintegrate in roughly the same time. This is why, at the start of World War I in Germany, Karl Liebknecht called the German military, which imprisoned and later assassinated him, the enemy from within. Mark Twain, who was a fierce opponent of the efforts to plant the seeds of empire in Cuba, the Philippines, Guam, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, wrote an imagined history of America in the 20th century where its lust for conquest had destroyed the Great Republic, because trampling upon the helpless abroad had taught her by a natural process to endure with apathy the like at home. Multitudes who had applauded the crushing of other people's liberties lived to suffer for their mistake. So yeah, it's all a part of that sociopathy. So I talk about here high levels of inequality eventually get those who are rich, those who are in government, become highly desensitized to murdering people for fun and profit. And they're not, because of that, they're not just willing to do it at home, they also they don't just do it overseas, they also do it at home too. And that's very well reflected in our policies. High levels of inequality, held within a pandemic. We don't have universal health care, right? We don't have universal education, UBI, minimum wage. All these sorts of things are just destroying people's lives. And we have socialism for the rich, giving them trillions of dollars while not doing anything for the people. sociopathy up in the sociopathy domestically and overseas as well. Twain knew that foreign occupations, designed to enrich the ruling elites, use occupied populations as laboratory rats to perfect techniques of control that soon migrate back to the homeland. It was the brutal colonial policing practices in the Philippines, which included a vast spy network, along with routine beatings, torture, and executions, which became the model for centralized domestic policing and intelligence gathering in the United States. Israelis' arms, surveillance, and drone industries test their products on the Palestinians. Of course they do. It is one of the dark ironies that it was the American empire led by Jimmy Carter's national security advisor, Zbigniew Brzezinski, which spawned the mess in Afghanistan. Okay, this I wasn't aware of. Brzezinski oversaw a multi-billion-dollar CIA covert operation to arm, train, and equip the Taliban to fight the Soviets. The clandestine effort sidelined the secular democratic opposition and assured the ascendancy of the Taliban in Afghanistan, along with the spread of its radical Islam into Soviet Central Asia once Soviet forces withdrew. The American empire would, years later, find itself desperately trying to destroy its own creation. In April 2017, in a classic example of this kind of absurd blowback, the United States dropped the mother of all bombs, the most powerful conventional bomb in the American arsenal, on an Islamic State cave complex in Afghanistan that the CIA had invested millions in building and fortifying. Nice. So I thought it was... Okay. Oh, I thought it was Reagan that started the Taliban, right? Maybe because Reagan was after Carter. Maybe this is just setting the ground for Carter's administration, set the ground for it, and then Reagan sealed the deal. The attacks of September 11th, 2001 were not an existential threat to the United States. They were not politically significant. They did not disrupt the balance of global power. They were not an act of war. They were acts of nihilistic terror. The only way to fight terrorists is to isolate them within their own societies. I was in the Middle East for the New York Times after the attacks. Most of the Muslim world was appalled and revolted at the crimes against humanity that had been carried out in the name of Islam. If we had the courage to be vulnerable, to grasp that this was an intelligence war, not a conventional war, we would be far safer and secure today. These wars in the shadows, as the Israelis illustrated when they tracked down the assassins of their athletes in the 1972 Olympic Games in Munich, take months, even years of work. But the attacks gave the ruling elites, lusting for control of the Middle East, especially Iraq, which had nothing to do with the attacks, the excuse to carry out the greatest strategic blunder in American history: the invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq. Now, I wouldn't say it was really a blunder. I mean, obviously, it was horrific. It never should have happened. But from the standpoint of the U.S. and their corporate owners, it gave them exactly what they wanted: access to the opium for the Sackler family, for the opioid epidemic, access to lithium from the rare earth minerals, and just, you know, the banking industry and the military industrial complex making billions and billions in this whole thing. I mean, Blair, the evidence shows that Blair and Bush planned the whole thing. Specifically, okay, actually that was Iraq specifically, which then later got into Afghanistan. The architects of the war, including then Senator Joe Biden, knew little about the countries being invaded, did not grasp the limits of industrial and technocratic war or the inevitable blowback that would see the United States reviled throughout the Muslim world. They believed they could implant client regimes by force throughout the region, use the oil revenues in Iraq, since the war in Afghanistan would be over in a matter of weeks, to cover the cost of reconstruction and magically restore American global hegemony. It did the opposite. Sorry, the daughter's bothering me. Invading Iraq and Afghanistan, dropping iron fragmentation bombs on villages and towns, kidnapping, torturing, and imprisoning tens of thousands of people, using drones to sow terror from the skies, resurrected the discredited radical jihadist and was a potent recruiting tool in the fight against U.S. and NATO forces. We were the best thing that ever happened to the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. Well, yeah, we created Taliban and we created Al-Qaeda. So definitely armed, trained, and paid for them. There was little objection within the power structures to these invasions. The congressional vote was 518 to 1 in favor of empowering President George W. Bush to launch a war. That's right, Representative Barbara Lee, being the lone dissenter, those of us who spoke out against the idiocy of the looming bloodlust were slandered, denied media platforms, and cast into the wilderness where most of us remain. Those who sold us the war kept their megaphones, a reward for their service to empire in the military-industrial complex. It did not matter how cynical or foolish they were. Right, because they serve the corporations, and that's all that matters. As long as you toe the corporate line, you're gonna be just fine. Yeah, and once you go against the military-industrial complex, that's when the government's really going to go after you, and the media and everyone else. Like one of the major reasons that Martin Luther King Jr. was killed is because he started at that time leaning into anti-war sentiment, right, and stuff like that. Historians call the self-defeating military adventurism of late empires micro-militarism. During the Peloponnesian War, 431 to 404 BC, the Athenians invaded Sicily, suffering the loss of 200 ships and thousands of soldiers and triggering revolts throughout the empire. Britain attacked Egypt in 1956 in a dispute over the nationalization of the Suez Canal and was humiliated when it had to withdraw its forces, bolstering the status of Arab nationalists such as Egypt's Gamal Abdel Nasser. While rising empires are often judicious, even rational in their application of armed force for conquest and control of overseas dominions, fading empires are inclined to ill-considered displays of power, dreaming of bold military masterstrokes that would somehow recoup lost prestige and power. The historian Alfred McCoy writes, your granddad's brother was in Suez. Okay. I don't think I have any, well, my immediate family, I'm the only military person at all. I'm not sure about my extended family because I don't know anything about them, honestly. That's crazy. No one should be dying for corporate profit. The death blow to the American empire will, as McCoy writes, be the loss of the dollar as the world's reserve currency. This loss will plunge the United States into a crippling and prolonged depression. It will force a massive contraction of the global military footprint. The ugly, squalid face of empire with the loss of the dollar as the reserve currency will become familiar at home. The bleak economic landscape with its decay and hopelessness will accelerate an array of violent and self-destructive pathologies, including mass shootings, hate crimes, opioid and heroin overdoses, morbid obesity, suicides, gambling, and alcoholism. All stuff we have now, just more of it because the inequality will be getting worse. The state will increasingly dispense with the fiction of the rule of law to rely exclusively on militarized police, essentially internal armies of occupation in the prisons and jails, which already hold 25% of the world's prisoners, although the United States represents less than 5% of the global population. Yeah, and we've looked at the statistic that if we consider the U.S. police as a military, a collective military force, then the police force in the United States is the third largest military in the world. Our demise will probably come more swiftly than we imagine. When revenues shrink or collapse, McCoy points out, empires become brittle. An economy heavily dependent on massive government subsidies to produce primarily weapons and munitions, as well as fund military adventurism, go into a tailspin with a heavy depreciated dollar, falling to perhaps a third of its former value. Prices would dramatically rise because of the steep increase in the cost of imports. The wages in real terms will decline. The devaluation of treasury bonds will make paying for our massive deficits onerous, perhaps impossible. The unemployment level will climb to depression-era levels. Social assistance programs, because of a contracting budget, will be sharply curtailed and eliminated. Again, none of this has to happen. None of this should happen because of modern monetary theory and the way money actually works. This dystopian world will fuel the rage and hyperinflation, hyper-nationalism that put Donald Trump in the White House. It will spawn an authoritarian state to keep order, and I expect a Christianized fascism. Well, that's already a thing. That's pretty much the entire Republican Party. And again, with some of this economic stuff, and that's why, honestly, why my policies are the way they are. My friend Elidius was on here a little while ago, last week or something like that, and we're talking about U.S. foreign policy, and he kind of said my policies were kind of isolationist, and yeah, that's basically kind of the way my policies do end up becoming. Again, reducing the military expenditures by 75%, pulling almost all of our military out of all the other countries, getting out of all the wars, and then spending all that money to make the United States, take the manufacturing back here to make our country sustainable energy and farming and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, definitely. And if we were already doing this, then sort of stuff he's talking about wouldn't be a problem, because we can turn that level of isolationism into a good thing and to make the world a better place for not just people in the United States, but eventually, because we'll be doing well, because we'll be setting the standard for sustainable energy and food and infrastructure and all that sort of stuff, that is something that can leak out into the rest of the world. But that's pretty much the price you pay. Either you murder people globally for fun and profit, or you take care of your own country, and that's there isn't as much profit to be had by doing the right thing, much like I talk about here all the time, right? The tension within methods of exchange. I'm not going to share it. If I'm going to share that post, I will. The tools of control on the outer reaches of empire, already part of our existence, will become ubiquitous. The wholesale surveillance, the abolition of basic civil liberties, militarized police authorized to use indiscriminate lethal force, the use of drones and satellites to keep us monitored and fearful, along with the censorship of the press and social media, familiar to Iraqis and Afghanistan's, will define America. Well, we've already basically got that, right? We are not the first empire to suffer this fate. It is a familiar ending. Imperialism and militarism are poisons that eradicate the separation of powers, designed to prevent tyranny and extinguish democracy. If those who orchestrate these crimes are not held accountable, and this means organizing sustained mass resistance, we will pay the price, and we may pay it soon for their hubris and greed. Yeah, it's we need a massive anti-war movement in this country. A massive movement for everything, honestly. And that's one of the reasons why, in the 70s, following the Vietnam War and all the mass protests we had there in the 60s, that that conservatives and corporations started attacking education, because it was a lot of people who were in college who were having all these protests. And if you keep attacking college and make it much more difficult for people to get in, and have mostly people who are affluent to be in college, you're going to have less of that, because affluence breeds sociopathy, and they are part of the system of control, and they will end up more or less supporting the militarism. All right, so there you go. Chris Hedges, definitely talking about another way that the United States itself is going to fall through its the victim of its own militarism. All right, that's all I have. I'm not at all prepared today. I think I've got two more. I do have more. So does anyone have any articles on Afghanistan they'd like to share that you've seen that was good? I only have these three here, and I found those fairly quickly. It's just gonna be bad. I mean, everyone, basically every single president should be in jail for war crimes, in one form or another. I mean, the United States has been imperialist, much like their forefathers, Britain. Although I don't know if we did it better, but we definitely did a much more modern take on, Britain's imperialism. where it's like relaxing lo-fi in the background to a Tony Blair speech, and it works surprisingly well. Okay, go and share it. All right, cool. I'm starting to do some gaming stuff on YouTube. I'll be doing Warhammer 40k Battle Sector and probably Humankind as well once I get to it. So that'll be coming as well. I already have 6 videos recorded, and then I got 2 of them basically done, and I'll have to do the rest probably this weekend. So nice, I'll take a look. Yeah. And I'll end up sharing those on Discord as well, and I'll share it on stream too. So like Warhammer, the Warhammer 40k Battle Sector is only 19 missions, so I've got the first 6 done. So I could do those, record them, and then put them out there. It's not too difficult. Just go through the gameplay, record it, and then doing just some minor clipping, and then create the thumbnail for it. So that won't be too difficult. Just have to make sure I find time to do it. Not that I have a problem, making time for gaming and all that, right? All right. So here we have New Zealand to go into national lockdown over one COVID case. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern warns that this is the only chance to stop the spread of suspected Delta variant. Okay. Maybe I should move over to New Zealand instead of one of the Nordic countries. This is how the country should be acting. Right here. So Jacinda Ardern announces 3-day lockdown after a single COVID case. Let's go ahead and listen to this. So minute 17, let's see what she has to say.
Delta has been called a game changer, and it is. It means we need to again go hard and early to stop the spread. We have seen what can happen elsewhere if we fail to get on top of it. We only get one chance. That's why Cabinet has met this afternoon and made the decision that New Zealand will move to alert level 4 from 11:59 p.m. tonight. Level 4 will be for an initial period of 3 days, except for Auckland and the Coromandel Peninsula, who we anticipate will likely be at level 4 for 7 days, due to them being most closely linked to our current case. I want to assure New Zealand that we have planned for this eventuality, and that we will now be putting in place that plan to contain and stamp out COVID-19 once again. Going hard and early has worked for us before. While we know that Delta is a more dangerous enemy to combat, the same actions that overcame the virus last year can be applied to beat it again.
Yeah, and that's what we should be doing. New Zealand will go into a national lockdown on Tuesday night after detecting 1 case of COVID-19. The entire country will be at alert level 4, the highest level of lockdown for at least 3 days from midnight in the regions of Auckland and Coromandel for 4 to 7 days. I just turned 12 at my dog. Okay, just turned 12, and my dog is now 4 years old. Cool. Yeah, cool. What sort of dog do you have? We had a toy poodle as I was growing up. I pretty much my whole life, like 18 years. He died shortly after I went into the military for 12 a.m. It's his birthday. I gotcha. Cool. Well, happy birthday. Happy birthday to your puppy. A chocolate? Oh, nice. Jasper, cool. Yeah, labs are awesome. I like dogs. I'm just a bit afraid to get one because I need quiet, and just even the cat annoys the shit out of me. And cats are fairly independent, and getting to a dog which is not so independent, it'd be I don't know. I want a dog. I love dogs, but I have issues, big issues. I'm glad you have a dog. Dogs are awesome. New Zealand has not had a level 4 lockdown in more than a year, and the case is believed to be the first Delta in community transmission. Yeah. Very, very needy in a good way. They're your best friends and all that. But especially when they're younger, you have to take them outside a lot and exercise them and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know. I'm a bit, I want one, but I'm afraid of my extreme introversion causing a significant problem with it. The Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, said Delta has been called a game changer, and it is. It means we need to, again, go hard and early to stop the spread. We have seen what can happen elsewhere if we fail to get on top of it. We only get one chance. Under level 4, all New Zealanders are asked to shelter in place in a bubble that only includes their immediate household or dependents. They can only leave the house to buy food or medical supplies, to access medical care, or for socially distanced exercise. Ardern said New Zealand would not know if the case was Delta until its genome was sequenced, but that the government would be working under that assumption until informed otherwise. Data released by the Ministry of Health on Monday showed 100% of COVID-19 cases detected at New Zealand's border in recent weeks had been Delta. Yeah, and again, New Zealand is an island. They have a significant advantage in controlling this stuff because, they can say, hey, you come into the border, it's much easier to control the border. Then they do their testing and quarantining and all that sort of stuff, and they strongly control the spread of disease. With Delta raging around the world, it was not a matter of if, but when. As it is, we are one of the last countries in the world to have the Delta variant in our community, so we have the chance to learn from others, she said. We've seen the dire consequences of taking too long to act in other countries, not least our neighbors, she said, referring to the outbreak in Australia, which the country has struggled to bring under control. Health officials have not yet been able to establish any connection between the case and the country's border facilities. The case in question is a 58-year-old man from Devonport, Auckland. He was tested on Saturday the 14th, so the infectious period was considered to have started on Thursday the 12th. He and his wife traveled to the Coromandel region on Friday and then returned to Auckland on the 15th. So far, the Ministry of Health has identified 23 locations of interest, 13 in and around Coromandel and 10 in Auckland. They get around. The country's Director of Health, Dr. Ashley Bloomfield, said the case was a national issue because we cannot link the case to the border at this point. It is possible there are other cases around Auckland and other possible chains of transmission. People from around the country will have traveled to Auckland and back to other parts of New Zealand. It requires all of us to be part of the response, and hard work from everyone across the country will help us get on top of this outbreak. See, the country, it's not just the president doing the right thing or the prime minister doing the right thing. It's the country being a part of the solution and, being willing to say, okay, let's prevent people from dying, right? And looking out for others and doing their part as a part of the community. That's very much a cultural thing. And the lower the level of inequality in your country, the less, poverty, suffering and stuff, the better the values are. And if only all the other countries could do this, only the United States could even be just a tenth of this. If only the people in this country could be, care about others just a tenth of that much. Ardern made her customary exhortation to New Zealanders to be kind and protect their communities. I know that one of the worst things about COVID-19 is the absolute uncertainty that it creates, but we know more now than we did a year ago. We know that the strategy works. We know that we are a strong team of 5 million, and we know that life will get easier. We just need to keep going. Most New Zealanders are still vaccinated. Most New Zealanders are still not vaccinated. Most New Zealanders are still not vaccinated. Let's just talk correctly. As of this week, about 22% of the 16-plus population were fully vaccinated. Okay, that's interesting. The country's vaccine rollout was initially slowed down by constraints on supply, but it is expecting to vaccinate all of its willing population by the end of the year. Vaccination will be open to all adults from the start of September. Wow. For as well as they've been handling it, I didn't expect that. Okay, well, they're getting it taken care of. Okay. New Zealand does not have a compulsory mask mandate, but Ardern and health officials urge people to wear masks whenever they left the house. The epidemiologist and public health professor Michael Baker urged New Zealanders to wear masks, especially in indoor environments such as supermarkets and pharmacies. Wow. Again, I would expect that they would have required that. Okay, this is interesting. Though when you have a less sociopathic culture and people, it can work better, I guess, but they should. Interesting. I guess I'd rather see it as a mandate. He pointed to the recent case of transmission in a quarantine hotel where the Delta variant was transmitted from an infected person in one room to another 3 people across the hall, with the doors only open for 3 to 5 seconds. Whoa. It's this idea of fleeting contact, or how the virus aerosol can waft through the air across the corridor from one room to another. People have to have that in mind now. In any indoor environment that you're in, if there's other people in it, they could be firing out these aerosols by simply breathing, talking, laughing. They don't even have to have any symptoms. Everyone in Auckland now should be wearing masks in all indoor environments where they're with other people immediately, Baker said. Okay, good. Baker said it was unlikely that the case would be directly connected to the border without intermediary cases. The other scenario, which I think is more likely, is a much tougher one, he said. Where this case appeared from is an unknown source, which means that there must be other cases out in the community which haven't been identified. That means that there have been infectious people in the community, potentially for several days, and you don't know how widespread the outbreak is. Yeah, that would be the worst right there. He likened that possibility to an iceberg. You can see the tip, but you don't know yet how big the base is. Yeah, especially with as infectious as Delta is. The government has also outlined a series of financial support packages that cover wages for businesses closed by the order and pay for those who are unable to work if they experience symptoms or have to self-isolate. The Minister of Finance, Grant Robertson, said, "We know from our recent experience that the best economic response continues to be a strong health response." So again, they're doing what needs to be done, right? Cover the wages. It's amazing what a government can look like if it knows what it's doing and is doing it. After the case was announced on Tuesday afternoon, local media documented long queues and crowded supermarkets as some people rushed to buy supplies. Officials urged against panic buying, saying supermarkets remain open at all alert levels. The government has also asked that people continue scanning QR codes to assist with content tracing, practice hand hygiene, stay at home if ill, and call a doctor or health line about getting tested. Cool. I'm super jealous. Super jealous. If only our country could do something like that. You know, be responsible. I expect that's too much to ask. All right. Questions, comments, suggestions on that? It's the only coronavirus thing I have. I've got something here. I've watched this video before, and I've got some annoyances with this. Fuck her. Let me go ahead and share that. All right, here we go.
Democrats, led by President Biden, say now is the time to build back better.
The American Jobs Plan will modernize 20,000 miles of highways, roads, and main streets that are in difficult shape right now.
But leaders don't just want to build and update roads. In some cases, they want highways torn down. Democrats would like to provide funding to tear down highways that had a damaging effect on urban minority communities.
Federal funds created the damage done here, and federal funds should be used to help remedy it.
Activists in cities like Tampa, Austin, Texas, New Orleans, Detroit, and Tulsa, Oklahoma are calling for the removal of highways that they say segregate communities and harm minorities. Leaders say there are many more examples, like this road in West Baltimore. This is the Franklin Mulberry Expressway. Baltimore locals call it the highway to nowhere, and some policymakers want to tear it down. The road cuts through 1.4 miles of the city, providing a speedy route for cars traveling east to west. Like other parts of the country's interstate system, the road was built to provide fast access for traffic from ports and downtown offices to the suburbs. But locals like Baltimore City Councilman John Bullock say it's a scar running through the city's west side.
The reality is that you did have intact businesses, churches, families, community networks that were literally torn asunder.
Yeah, so that is the thing. We haven't gone over that on my channel here. That a lot of what some of these projects for highways and roads and stuff that were done, of course, they went through communities that were impoverished, people of color, families, churches and everything were just torn down, and people of color's lives were destroyed to make room for these. It's a part of that systemic and structural racism that's inherent to our, the way our country operates.
With this highway going through. And yes, there are examples of cities across the country, and Baltimore is no different, that during urban renewal, you saw the disproportionate effects in neighborhoods that had African-American populations.
Planning for this road dates back to the 1950s, when President Eisenhower called for cities to build better connections to the interstate system. His goal was to give the military, traders, and commuters quick routes through the nation. In Baltimore, the first round of demolition displaced hundreds of families. That sparked a wave of opposition from locals, like then City Councilwoman Barbara Mikulski, who would go on to represent Maryland in Congress as a Democrat.
The government, under eminent domain, took their housing, cleared that land without any relocation benefits, without a fair market value, and so on.
Senator Chris Van Hollen is Mikulski's successor.
What you see here is a part of the highway that was built decades ago, but was never completed because Senator Mikulski and other activists rallied to stop it, and they were successful at stopping the highway, but not before this 1.5-mile segment had been built, displacing over 900 people from their homes, splitting an African-American community that had been stable and vibrant. And so here you see this scar.
Since then, researchers have found that highways create challenging conditions within cities. Data collected in Baltimore suggests that air quality is poorest in the sections of the city that are near interstate connection.
Yeah, of course it is. And this, of course, like we talk about here, right, that this is an urban planning problem. A lot of the issues we have is that our cities develop organically and they sprawl out, right? This is, it's an urban planning infrastructure issue that our cities are based on cars. Everyone, like every house has like 2 cars. Having an entire city designed from the ground up to allow for cars to be a thing or to be the primary mode of transportation is a large part of this problem. Organic evolution and car-based transportation. Our cities need to be designed from the ground up. We need to build up skyscrapers, atlas pillars, and earth scrapers into the ground, and then rewild all this space out here. And then, of course, build it for mass transportation as a very core part of how the city operates. This is hard to fix without changing your entire urban infrastructure to something else. You can't build the world of tomorrow on the infrastructure of yesterday.
The Environmental Protection Agency says that poor air quality can worsen health conditions like asthma. The interstate also contributed to outmigration, not only in Baltimore, but in cities across the country, like Detroit. Economists say that the highway building in majority-black Detroit contributed to the city's economic decline. Maintenance costs for these roads continue to weigh on the city, which filed for bankruptcy in 2013. This form of structural inequity is what leaders in Washington say they are trying to address.
Too often investments have failed to meet the needs of marginalized communities left behind.
Developers today say that tearing down parts of the interstate system could correct a wave of past failures.
No, it won't. And this is what drives me nuts. Tearing down these highways, I mean, there may be some cases where you want to do that, right? But ultimately, tearing down the highway isn't going to fix the systemic and structural racism inherent to the system. It's not going to fix how people of color are disproportionately cast into poverty. It's not going to correct low levels of intergenerational wealth. It's not going to correct racism. If they really want to work on those issues, universal health care, universal education, UBI, minimum wage, right, reparations. So they're not really serious about actually dealing with this problem. They're just trying to give more corporations more money while trying to make it look like they're actually doing something.
Failures. One 2018 review of West Baltimore calls for the demolition of 2 bridges at the eastern stub of the highway, opening more land for development. The plan says the new space could be used for athletic fields, parks, and a new retail center. The panel also called for the rehabilitation of vacant lots and nearby row homes and wider sidewalks for pedestrians. If Congress passes an infrastructure bill, the federal funding could help turn some of these ideas into reality. West Baltimore community organizer Ashia Parker says she would welcome changes in her part of the city, but she wants to make sure the community has a seat at the table.
We definitely don't want our federal partners putting up large condos that people aren't able, that current residents aren't able to occupy. And then we also want to make sure that economic development is done. So produce stores or other type of small businesses for people who are already in the neighborhood that can utilize.
Other residents said that they would like for the government to focus on rehabilitating homes in the area before focusing on the roads. The national movement to tear down highways is picking up steam as leaders in Congress from both sides of the aisle signal that they're open to the idea. The movement got a boost from President Biden when he called for $20 billion to redress inequities created by past investments in transportation. That's just one part of the bigger American jobs plan, which the White House says would cost $1.7 trillion. Senate Republicans now say that they are open to a nearly $1 trillion infrastructure plan. In short, both parties want to invest more in infrastructure, but they're far apart on the details of how it should be done. Republican senators say they're open to using federal funds to remove highways, but they want to leave the decision to state lawmakers.
There are multiple examples of poor planning decisions that have led to adverse consequences for specific communities.
Oh, yep, it's Warhammer 40K. All right, let me. I change that. Thanks. Thanks, man. I never would have even considered it. I haven't been. This Saturday was the first time I actually streamed something other than politics, so I was like, thanks.
None of us deny that. And I think we all agree they should be rectified. I believe it should be done at the local and state level where decision makers are.
It was okay. It was quiet like it has been these last, several months. But Grizzly Bear stopped by. I think one or two other people stopped by as well. Yeah, it went okay.
Closest to the people and able to make a balanced decision.
The call to fund highway removal breaks from years of American transportation philosophy. If a bill materializes, highway teardowns could unfold in cities across the country.
All right, so Yeah, there may be some places where this is okay, where this is a good idea, but it's not really going to solve the issues that they're looking to solve because, you know, they don't actually want to solve it. Engine, it's a big category, so it'll be hard to get viewers. Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I was doing BattleTech, when I first started streaming, I don't know, over a year ago or two or whatever it's been. Yeah, it was hard. So I don't know. I may end up doing like Saturdays as a game stream of some sort. We'll see. I don't know. Don't know. Because Humankind is gonna be, it's a cool game. Looking forward to playing that all night long. Though I can't play it all night. Can I? Actually, I can. I could play it all night tonight. Because tomorrow we're going to Milwaukee later in the day to stay overnight to go to the her citizenship ceremony on Thursday morning. So I probably could. I don't know. We'll see. All right. So here, Representative Takano introduces legislation to reduce the standard work week to 32 hours. Now I have the varying hours per week for the work week in my policies. I start with the 4-day work week, 4 by 32 like he's talking about here. Then it goes down like every decade. It goes down 1 day and 8 hours. I'm introducing this legislation to reduce the standard work week to 32 hours because now more than ever, people continue to work longer hours while their pay remains stagnant. We cannot continue to accept this as our reality. So yeah, reduce the hours per week, reduce the effective minimum wage, and just keep going from there. Following discussions between Andrew Barnes and Charlotte Lockhart, the leaders of the four-day week global movement, Congressman Mark Takano has put forward a bill to the U.S. Congress to introduce a 32-hour or 4-day work week. Maybe build up audience through politics category, then tell them about the game stream so you have a base that will follow you over to gaming. And give you a boost to your hire on the Warhammer category, if that makes sense. Politics gaming, oh, yeah, of course, yep. Even us politics people like gaming, yep. Yeah, that's I just have to remember to switch it back and forth. I have to get into the habit of doing that. And then also, as I get the YouTube stream, the YouTube stuff going too, I can have you guys go over there as well. The 4-day week global team is delighted to support Mr. Takano with his bill for a reduction in work hours. If the bill gets passed, this will benefit 100 million workers and catapult the U.S. to the forefront of the future of work, says 4-day week global team. What started with a phone call from Takano's office in 2020 to Andrew and Charlotte now clearly signals just how ready the world is to adapt to the rapidly changing nature of work. Representative Mark Takano said in a statement, I am introducing this legislation to reduce the standard work week to 32 hours because now more than ever, people continue to work longer hours while their pay. Okay, we already read that. Many countries and businesses that have experimented with the 4-day work week found it to be an overwhelming success as productivity grew and wages increased. After the COVID-19 pandemic left so many millions of Americans unemployed or underemployed, a shorter work week will allow more people to participate in the labor market at better wages. This is a groundbreaking piece of legislation, and I'm grateful to the organization and colleagues that firmly stand behind it. I look forward to continuing the work on this issue so that people may experience the best possible working conditions, the working conditions they deserve. All right. Yeah, so here, so less than 30 years of age, 4-day work weeks at 32 hours, 40s, 3 days at 24, 50s, 16 hours, and then 60s 1 at 8. Now I do have my retirement age at 50, so this is just there just to kind of see the process. And this should be for full-time work, for effectively full-time wages. So basically, start at 40 hours times whatever the minimum wage is, and that's what you should be making at each one of these. So I don't know, let's do advanced math here. It's also $15 an hour. Hold on, wait, what? Well, whatever. So yeah, so whatever the full-time is for this position, this is what should be considered full-time, this many hours per week at that same basically salary. So the position will have the same salary even though the hours per week is going down as your age goes up. Do I want to go into this one? Yeah. Actually, let's go over here to tech. I don't do tech as much, so let's go ahead and do that. Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. WHOI advancing a seaweed solution to develop new kelp strains. Okay, GMO kelp. A strain of sugar kelp being farmed off the coast of Newcastle, New Hampshire. Kelp and other seaweeds provide essential micronutrients and bioactive compounds for human health. Their stem-like stipes attached to the long leafy blades are rich in alginate, an important compound extracted from seaweeds and used in pharmaceuticals and biomedicine. How's your wife's citizenship ceremony coming up? Yeah, I do too. It should be pretty easy. Like when she went into her interview last month, it was, well, there was a wait, but once she got in, it took maybe 20 minutes. So I expect this is gonna be fairly simple. Go in, bunch of people, masks on, do the oath, and then you're done. Maybe half an hour or something, they'll be done. That's what I'm expecting. The wife said that they might have wine or something afterwards to celebrate, so that might take a little bit longer, but that's okay. Because the ceremony for her is at 8:30. Well, that's when they say it's supposed to be, so it's probably going to be a little bit later than that, is to get everything together. And then if they're staying for wine or whatever, then hopefully I can sleep till 9 or 9:30 and then get up and get my day started, because yeah, I'm gonna be tired, especially sleeping in a new bed, sleeping in a hotel bed, which never works well, especially that first night. I'm not familiar. Okay, so it's basically oath of citizenship. It's basically just repeating the oath of citizenship, which is right here. Yeah, I think it's just repeating this and then finishing the paperwork, signing stuff. I think that's pretty much all it is. Oh, it might actually take longer, unless they already have the paperwork started. So maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure how long it's gonna take, but yeah, it'll be the oath, and then they probably have paperwork to do, and then that should be it, as far as my understanding. I don't think so, not so much. I mean, the whole process was pretty easy. It cost $750 to file it. Took me a while to go through the paperwork. You do it online, which is fine. You just want to be sure, dealing with the government. Look it over several times. I make sure you got all the paperwork and all because you required like birth certificates, marriage certificates, divorce certificates, and all that sort of stuff. I have all that stuff scanned already, so that was all pretty easy, except for my my divorce certificate that I had to get. But it's just, some of the questions are kind of strange and going through the paperwork. Once I got through it, it wasn't that difficult. So yeah, I think she'll be fine. The process is pretty easy. We've always had an easy time with INS, so it's I think she's going to be just fine. We were nervous the first time when we went for our first green card because, you hear all these horror stories about going to INS and stuff like that. And we had everything prepared. We had stacks of pictures and bank statements and stuff like that. We were ready for just a good fucking, cinematic movie grilling by INS with the light and everything. And they asked us like a few questions over 20 minutes, and 20 minutes, half an hour, and then we were done with our first one. I was pissed. I was so pissed. In a good way, right? I was expecting to have a huge fucking problem, and it was in and out and no problems. And we had all this stress and worry about it, and it was no big fucking deal. And that's the way, our whole process has been with INS. We haven't had any problems. We've always had the paperwork and just pay the money, fill the paperwork, and then everything's been fine. So yeah, I don't think she's going to be nervous. Our experience with INS has been fairly painless. Which is good. Which is very good. I'm very, very happy with that. Okay. So, me too. Not everyone has that easy of experience, but ours has been easy. There we go. Now, we have covered mariculture before. This is a video, right? Yes, this is a video. All right, let's go through this. Woods Hole, Massachusetts. As the state of the Earth's climate remains at the forefront of the minds of policymakers, scientists, and economists, seaweed farming is being viewed as a sustainable and efficient way to boost economies, provide nutritious food, and diversify ocean life. A leader in ocean science, Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute, Hawaii, is embarking on a study of how new seaweed strains could further enhance the burgeoning seaweed industry and offer solutions to some of the world's pressing challenges. This research is funded in part by the World Wildlife Fund with support from Bezos's Earth Fund. Okay, cool. Actually, I'll go ahead and share this. We watched this video. This is pretty cool, talking about mariculture. And this is something I talk about in here as well. It really kind of goes through the sorts of things you could do in here. Specifically using seaweed, kelp, seaweed, seagrasses, and oysters, and things like that to have a very strong and massive amount of farming in the oceans. And it could be quite regenerative as well. And Alex, man, good. How you doing? Good. Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff going on, actually. Let's see, today a game I've been waiting for, Humankind, is out, so I started playing that. I'm super excited about that. And the wife has recommended that I start putting out videos on for gaming on my YouTube channel, so I kind of started doing that. The wife is on Thursday going to do her citizenship ceremony, so we've got that going on. We're going to stay overnight starting tomorrow night in Milwaukee, which is where the ceremony is going to be. So we're going to be doing some stuff in Milwaukee while we're there, stay overnight, and then do the thing and do a whole bunch of stuff there on Thursday. Tony Blair, okay, man, yeah. Thank you so much, dude. Have a great night, and stay safe. Good to hear from you. Yeah, thank you. What else do we got going on? That's yeah, that's what's going on with me. I also purchased a subscription to Adobe Creative Cloud, through our yoga studio, because I do video editing and stuff there. I've wanted this for ever. It sucked not having access to Dreamweaver and Photoshop and Acrobat here at home, because there's so many things I'd like to work on, especially when I'm doing video editing, creating the thumbnails and stuff like that. So yeah, I've got that too. Like yesterday, so I was doing video editing and creating some thumbnails for some of my gaming videos. So I recorded like 6 hours or six videos for Warhammer 40K Battle Sector. So I've got 2 of those videos done, and I've got 4 more to go, and then I have to record a bunch more. So that's what I'm doing. It was actually super late getting started today because I was playing the game. When you want, I'll still give you the Anno 1800, but I think you should also start playing it if you want to do it later. Then I'll buy it. Yeah, like I said, I'll let you know, because I have to get through. I have to get through recording Battle Sector, and then also doing a bunch of Humankind too, because there's so much replayability in Humankind. I have to get that out of my system first, so that's gonna be a while, and then yeah, I can pick up Anno after that, because Anno looks pretty cool. It's very, very, very detailed. I watched 2 or 3 hours of gameplay on that, and it looks fun. It's like a lot of fun, a lot of brain power needed for city design and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. No. Here we go. So yeah, reading an article here on using kelp as a part of creating food and stuff like that. But it's cool. You also want to stream gaming. I think will also help you. It might. Like, I started streaming BattleTech. It's where I started for several months, I guess. I didn't get a whole big following. A lot of it's because, I'm me, not overly interesting, and I'm not the best player either. It's hard to people to want to watch someone who isn't a good gamer on top of it. So it's finding games that I can play, at least not completely suck at, is challenging. Warhammer 40K is easy. I can do that. Humankind, I hope, is going to go well. I'm playing a game right now, which I started today, which has been going okay. Well, I like to think so, but getting people to give me that chance and to watch has been the struggle over the over a year or 2 that I've been doing this. It hasn't been 2 years yet, I don't think. It's probably a year and a half, not quite 2 years yet. Just struggling to get even 3 people on my stream has been it's been a thing. So I don't know. Hopefully, maybe it'll be maybe it will help bring more people in. I might end up doing Saturday streams as gaming streams. We'll have to see. That's what I did last weekend. Last Saturday I did Warhammer 40K. That's on there. It's on YouTube as well, if you want to check it there too. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. If I do a lot more games, now that I have, I also yesterday got my video editor to work. In moving everything over to the new computer, I didn't get that working, and it's such a fucking challenge to get it working, bringing stuff over. So hopefully, maybe I'll have time to do some political videos as well. I don't know. We'll see. You already know how to present yourself, and you already have good sound quality and good green screen quality. Yeah, that stuff I definitely have going for me. If the video for the gaming part looks really well too. Again, the green screen, the camera, and everything works out really well. My sound needs a little bit of adjusting, at least on the first 2 videos I edited. I didn't have the microphone quite close enough, so it's cutting out just a little bit. But yeah, I've got the technology to do it. It's just taking the time to do it and eventually building that up. Also, a few weeks ago I was going to take one of my streams and cut it apart, because I only covered like three articles on that stream. I was gonna cut it up, edit it, and put it out there individual. You'll do much better than most others, you think? It's hard to believe that, because I mean I'm struggling to get 3 people on here. Just the evidence. I'll believe it once the evidence is here. I mean, when I started streaming, I was doing BattleTech. And then the wife convinced me, because I was thinking about doing politics, and she said, well, I tried politics a few times and I got more people to come on. So she convinced me to go do that all the time instead. So I don't know. You have a hard time with the topic. That's because you have a hard time with the topic you choose. What do you mean by that? Yeah, the top politics is a difficult thing to cover because it's very polarized. People have definite opinions on it, although many wrong opinions. Not that I'm opinionated, right? Yeah. So gaming isn't quite as polarizing. It's about being trying to be more entertaining when I stream. Like when I was looking at some of the footage of the first 2 videos that I got onto YouTube, they're not released yet. It's a lot of dead time, so I think that's going to be problematic because we're watching what's going on. We have to try and up my my talking during what's going on because you do your side. It's all I do is turn-based stuff because of my hands. So you do your side, then the other team does it. So you're kind of waiting for that for the opponent to do their stuff. We already talked about this, but you do left politics. That will benefit most working class people, but at the same time, you do it at a level more so to higher. Oh yes, right. Yeah, exactly. And I expect very much that's a part of the problem that I have with my stream and my blog as well. We've talked about that too. Yeah, we've talked about that. I've had a few conversations about that on Facebook as well. There's one guy on Facebook said he would like to read my stuff, but it's just too dense for, just too hard to read, which I get because I write at the level that I understand and I've put it through some readability stuff. And it's like on bachelor's to postdoctoral in difficulty. So I get that it can be difficult. And yeah, like we're talking about, having a way for me to find a way to make that stuff more easily presentable could be a good thing. Like I was looking at, because I want to take some of my blog posts and turn them into videos eventually. So what you attract is a right-minded person who's interested in your left point of view. Yes. You have to have a very specific way, you have to present your topic in a very careful way to have someone who's right-leaning to be even open to it. And there's a definite talent to people who can do that. I haven't even considered that because I'm so opinionated, right? I believe so very strongly in what I believe and what I present. And obviously there's problems with that. But finding a way to present it so right-minded people might be able to consider that will be a challenge. Some of those ways I've considered is like just asking a question, like, what about this, or just asking some question that relates to the topic at hand, and then talking about, whatever the topic is. I don't know, like tension within methods of exchange. That is perhaps my most important post because it gets to the very core of why all problems are. And it's such a high-level conceptual thing. It's trying to figure out how to present that. Is difficult. Maybe getting to the examples a little bit, because I want to add a section to that post with just like 10 examples of tensions within methods of exchange, just to give people an idea of how this might manifest. Yeah, and my personality as well is problematic. I have a low tolerance for people who are wrong, and who, the sociopathy involved with being conservative, here in the United States, because we're so fucking far right-leaning, it's just not even funny. I have a very low tolerance for that, and it's hard to get someone right-leaning to listen to me if I'm, if I'm combative, I guess. Farting Man, do you think it would be sensible for us to invade Afghanistan and maybe Iran to bring freedom? I think we've already done that. I mean, we failed in Afghanistan. We haven't done Iran yet. Now, the United States needs to pull their stuff out and come the fuck home. We've already fucked up Afghanistan, wasted trillions of dollars, murdered innocent people. I mean, it's pretty horrific. Nothing good has come. Did I support the invasion? No. Nope, I didn't support any of it. If I may give you some advice, if you want to stream games, also do YouTube. Yes, yep. Yes, yeah. And that's when you look at all of the advice on Twitch, it's doing stuff on YouTube as well to get people to come over here. Yeah, that's exactly right. And I also have to come up with, find some stuff to add to the video to pull people over here to Twitch as well. Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's part of the process. I haven't actually done videos on YouTube yet to be able to pull people over here. That's mostly the politics stuff. It's such a difficult thing to do because, at least for me, it requires an incredible amount of work. Having to write an entire script, because I have to write an entire script to, take my calendar reform post, 13,000 words, condense it down to, condense it down to 20 minutes or 10 minutes just to do something to put it out there. That's such a lot of work. Or taking something smaller, which is tension within methods of exchange is a 10-minute read, taking that and putting it in a much more presentable format on video, maybe 15 minutes, and expanding it out, making it understandable. YouTube also, yeah. No, I just got a subscription to Adobe. I'm using DaVinci Resolve for video since that's free, and I don't want to relearn a whole new software, Premiere. So I'll use DaVinci Resolve, which has worked well, and then I've got Photoshop. Finally, God, I've missed Photoshop at home. That's been the big thing, being able to work with images at home. So I've had Photoshop at work for over a decade, and that's what I work with, that's what I miss, and it's just finally have access to at home, and it's really nice. I got some stuff done this weekend working on the videos, and the thumbnails for it and stuff. So that was good. Yeah, Premiere. Just starting out on video editing, it's such a whole different skill set. I mean, it was difficult to start because it's a whole different way of thinking about content. So I'm working with images and a little bit, and of course websites, and you see content in a very flat way, whereas video, it's timestamps and motion and stuff like that. It's a whole different way of looking at presenting content. Took me a while to get into it. But once I got into it, it's like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. But it's still, there's a reason why there's entire degree fields in this, entire jobs just in, video editing, just in image editing, and all that sort of stuff. I know enough to get by, but that's pretty much it. Yeah, so DaVinci Resolve, it's good, it's free. They have a professional version, although my computer can't handle it completely. I actually, to get DaVinci Resolve working on my computer, I had to get an older version of the software. I had to download like 16.2.5 because, it's just because of my video card. My video card, it's the only part I haven't replaced yet because of how expensive the video cards are right now. I have an NVIDIA 760, which is super old. But once maybe in a few months, once the prices come down, I'll end up getting a video card, and then I can install the newer version. I won't have any problems. Can't wait for that. I'm very much looking forward to having a good video card. Now, actually, I'll get two different monitors as well, because I think I have 22-inch monitors. I think I'll go for 224s, I think. I have limited space on my desk, so hopefully I'll get something just slightly bigger to take up the space. Then I'll get some risers as well, so I can have a little more space on the desk. But it'll be a while before I get into that aspect of it. Hopefully next 3, 4, 5 months, I'll make those changes. Then I'll feel better. But yes, video editing. So yeah, the Warhammer 40k battle sector is 19 missions. It's just 19 missions. I'm really looking forward to seeing. Okay, well, thank you. If you want to see some of it, you can look at my yoga studio. Look at our yoga studio. I won't be doing this much work as I'm doing in here, because the gaming stuff doesn't require this level of work. Oh, except for the politics stuff. The politics stuff, if I end up doing more of that and actually finally getting one of those videos out, yeah, that will require quite a bit of work. If you want to see the basics, these here are some of the stuff that I've done. Now the wife is going to take over doing videos her way, close player. Yeah, we had that conversation. So she's going to do videos her way. I'll help her where I can and try and give her the basics of it, but it won't look quite this good, I don't think. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, this is yes, this is my wife. Yep. Sunsa. Yeah, this is our studio. Cherry blossoms, little Buddha, Om symbol. The wife paints, so she painted all this herself. She also does art. She does paintings and stuff like that too. Why does she not want? She's, I know, right? She's just, well, part of it's the audience, right? Because almost all males, geeky, politically people, right? She's just, yeah, if she's doing it herself, then it's her thing. If not, then she's not overly keen on it. Hopefully someday I can get her on stream. We talk, I don't know what we'll talk about, if anything. But it would be interesting. It would be interesting. So yeah, you can see a little bit of my work there, and that's pretty much it. Hopefully in the next week or so, I'll get some of the Warhammer 40k out there. There's nothing special in that at all. It's just an image and then the video. That's it. No editing involved in there. Yeah, we have video stuff at the studio, although the lighting isn't the best yet. So maybe we have to, because we're probably going to be opening up the studio this next month, so I have to get all that computer stuff kind of put away somewhere where it's out of the way so people can have do the yoga classes. So probably have to hire someone to put that stuff out there. Tell her that I won't bite, and I don't think I'm a jerk. Well, most people would say they don't think they're a jerk. So you're a little bit biased. As we all are, right? Yeah, I know. It's maybe someday. Maybe someday. I think what would I think when she'll consider is when I'm actually making money at it. Then there's my dog loves me too. Okay, dogs are generally a good judge of character, right? Yeah. And maybe perhaps once I'm actually making money at doing this, then I can probably talk her into it, but that becomes the first thing, getting to the point where, you know, I can make money at this. And YouTube can be a part of that. I might have to, I don't know if I have to create a brand new YouTube channel just for the gaming stuff. So I think it's going to be a little bit distracting. Like people coming to my YouTube and seeing political stuff and then gaming stuff. Perhaps having a level of focus to it might be of use. I don't know. We'll see. we'll see how it goes. Yeah, and seeing my leftist content may definitely dissuade people from even checking out my gaming stuff because, you know, leftism. Not everyone is left, as we quite well know, especially here in the United States, where all of our politics are right-leaning. So, yeah, we'll see. Over this next week or two, I'll get some more videos done, gaming videos done. I'm hoping to get enough recorded so that I can do release 4 Warhammer 40k battle sector videos a week. So it'll be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then a bonus one on Saturday. So I want to get at least 2 weeks ahead, get the videos done, get them queued up, and then get them to start coming out. And then also probably start working on a humankind set of videos too. Got to start a brand new campaign, get the stuff recorded. It just takes time. Got to find time to do it. It's harder because I don't have my own space. If I had, because I'd like to take our attic and turn that into my man cave, so I can have a lot more safety from sound, so I can record when I need to, and like I could do stuff at night when my wife is sleeping if I had a place upstairs, but like I'm limited to how long I can do stuff because our computer is inside our bedroom. Not that my wife couldn't sleep through it, because she's sleeping within like 45 seconds to a minute. She goes to sleep like that, which is just not fair. Yeah, let's go. Okay. Yeah, well, thanks for stopping by, man. I really do appreciate it. Have a great week and stuff, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. Stay safe. Well, since you're going to bed, I've got about 2 minutes left, so I'll wait here. Oh, that's different. Well, that hasn't happened before. Hopefully my stream didn't crash. You can do that? 2 minutes? Okay. This is really strange. Okay, King of Cup. After you brush teeth and get undressed in the meantime. That's cool. That's cool. Well, I guess, well, I'll tell you what. Got 1 minute left. Last call for comments before we call this a day. Then I can get going and stuff like that, because I don't know what this website's problem is. I must be having website problems because and nothing else is going okay. It's got to be a website issue. Yeah, so yeah, I'm doing videos, and then the wife is getting citizenship. It's gonna be a busy week. I'm gonna be playing Humankind as well. It's gonna be awesome. All right, and Hawks Man, thank you so much. Got my 2 hours here, 7 o'clock. Ding. Thanks for joining me. Have a great week, and everyone else who's watching, I really appreciate you gifting me with your time. Thank you. So everyone, be safe. Wear your masks. Have a great week, and we will see you later. Oh, I stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays at 5 p.m. Central. It'd be cool to do something together. Oh yeah, sure. What? Go to Discord. We've talked about talking on Discord. Haven't we? Yeah. Put your ideas there in Discord, and then we can talk about that. That'd be cool. I've been thinking about that sort of a thing. I need to branch out a little bit. Yeah, put on Discord, and we can talk there about that sort of a stuff. All right, everyone. Have a great week. And we'll see you guys later.
it's just me and you. Let's make up all the rules. Count to 10 and watch the stars turn blue. Watch the stars.